What's going on, my fellow farmer brothers and sisters? Alright, so quick little short video, back at it again, so stay tuned and I'll walk you through it. Alright, so I am back out here on the 450, taking advantage of the day today, and I went ahead and started taking care of the cylinders on this thing and cleaning everything up, and actually everything came out really nice on this tractor. I'm going to pop up a quick little part of my video that I did a short of, just to kind of show what I found cracking into this engine. I'm actually glad that that cylinder was froze up, because if I didn't open this thing up, I would have never found the issue I found. So check this little clip out and you're going to see what I'm talking about. And this right here is when somebody tells you the engine's been freshly rebuilt. It's not a bad idea to drop that pen and check. I haven't even put a wrench on this yet. And that's number 2 cylinder rod bolt. I can back it out by hand. They never bent the keeper back over the bolt. So you buy a tractor, the engine's been freshly rebuilt, check it.
Well, I'll be dipped in shit and rolling breadcrumbs.
Alright, so you see what I found? So on the one cylinder, they did not have the rod bolts tightened up, and they did not have those little flanges bent over to hold the bolts from working their way loose. If I would have ran this engine the way that was, it wouldn't have took long for that thing to finally throw a rod right out the side of the block. And it would have destroyed the engine. So anybody who tells you, yeah, I just rebuilt this engine, everything's good, you know what? It only takes a minute, well, a little more than a minute, but it doesn't take long to drop the pan on one of these things, go underneath, check the rod bolts, check the mains. You know, just make sure they're torqued right. Make sure that those little flanges are bent over, because if they're not, you're going to throw a cylinder. But anyway, look how nice those walls came out. Everything came out so good in this thing. All the cylinders came out beautiful. Now, what I had to do to number 3, since that's the one that was rusted, I went ahead and ran the straight wall hone through there first, because I wanted to even those walls up. When you run these in there, you don't want it to pop out the top. I've explained this in some of my previous videos. You want to go ahead and run this thing at a nice speed and go up and down evenly. Don't sit in one spot. Don't stop it halfway in the cylinder and then yank it out. Grab a hold of these fingers, close them up, lift it out of the cylinder. Because if you do it that way, you're just going to drag up the walls. Once I went ahead and I got everything straight where I was happy, I went ahead and ran the dingleberry hone through it next. And again, kept it at a moderate speed, keep everything oiled, and ran that thing again up and down the cylinders, nice even passes, until I got the walls clean where I wanted them. And as you see, the walls came out really nice inside this engine. So I don't have to sleeve it, so I'm thankful for that. But like I said, that rod bearing, that cap not being tight, I literally unscrewed it with my fingers. I did not bend those tabs over, and I did not put a wrench on there. That was definitely a ticking time bomb on this thing. So anyway, so I'm just going to do a little recap on this since my last video, and I have a whole bunch of parts ordered for this thing. I decided to rebuild the head on it. The head wasn't bad. It just, a couple of the exhaust valves just had a little bit of a rounder edge to them, and I wasn't really happy with it. I've already got this thing cracked apart, so I went ahead and I took the cylinder head in, I pulled all the valves out, and I will do a video on cutting the seats and lapping the valves and getting that head all freshened up and back into this thing. Once I get the pistons back in, because I got new bearings coming, I ordered from Gen Sales the new rod bearings, new rings, everything for it. The pistons were good. I'm going to check the wrist pins and all, make sure that whoever rebuilt this engine last time didn't screw something up there either. And then we're going to get this engine back together. I'm going to take this governor apart also, because that right there, see where that's actually supposed to be connected, and it's not, which is no big deal. All I got to do is just bevel that a little bit, hit it with a tack welder, clean that up, and weld it. Somebody put Permatex on there. I didn't really thought Permatex. I was going to stick that together. Again, some of the stuff you find, it's pretty funny. But yeah, no, I mean, it takes a minute to unbolt it, unclamp it from inside here, slide this unit out, fix this properly, put it back together. So I'm going to take care of that. Once I get the governor done and the head and the pistons all back in, we're going to rebuild the carburetor on it next. And then I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the distributor on it next. After that, we should be ready to fire this thing up. Now, I'm only going to fire it up long enough to hear it run, check everything out, and that's it. After I make sure this thing runs, which it should, and it almost guaranteed it will, I did hook a battery charger up to the, well, a boost pack, up to the starter. And the starter and everything spins free. It spins the motor over beautifully. So everything is good as far as the starter goes. Once I get everything up and done, then we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to pressure wash this thing, get all this loose grime off here, all this algae and dirt and grime, and strip it all out. Start wire wheeling it, cleaning everything up, replace all the pins, everything that's bad, everything that's wiggly and jiggly and everything else on this tractor. And then we're going to do a brake video. I'm going to go ahead and take that completely apart, because a lot of times with the brakes, it does have the bearings and all, and these disc brakes right here are the ones where when you press them, the wheel turns and it pushes out on the bearings, and that actually what engages the brakes. You can replace the 7/8 balls, which is always recommended, but there's also something else you want to do to these brakes when you do that. When you pull it apart and you pull those actuators apart, where those little balls sit, you want to go in there and you want to clean those out really good. And I always take a polishing brush and I go in there and I polish those high chrome. And then that way when the balls go in there with the anti-seize, all the stuff in there, they roll smooth as can be, and these brakes will work beautifully. So I know some people asked about the 300 video and they want to see the complete breakdown of the brake disassembly and reassembly. So I will do the complete video on this one, which will be the same as far as the supers, as far as the M's, the H's, the 300 utilities, the 450, everything with the disc brakes, it'll apply to all those. So I will put the video up complete of the brake rebuild and how I polish those actuators and all out. After that, pull the shifter off. We're going to do the rebuild. I'm going to show you how I sleeve that shifter, and that tightens all that up, and that shifter will work beautifully. I'm pretty much going to rebuild everything on this tractor. Now, I'm not splitting this tractor, so I'm I'm hoping that everything with the clutch and the TA is good. But if it isn't, it isn't. Guess what? And I guess it'll come back in the garage after the season, and I'll split her, and I'll put a clutch in it and work on the TA if it is. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the TA is not awful to get to. I mean, break open, you know, pull the hydraulics. You got to pull all this off. You got to pull off the pump if you have it. Get that out of the way, and then you got to split it from here and pull it out. And yeah, it's some work getting in there, but top plate, you know, pull that off and do it. I mean, is what it is, right? So be it. It's not the end of the world if the TA does or doesn't work, but I want it to work. So I'm hoping it does, but we will find out once this thing's moving. And then we're going to get all the rust, all the grime, everything sanded, get this thing primed, get it painted, and start putting it back together. Now I am going to go ahead and, this one I'm converting over to the 12 volt. I am stopping by Bromans. I will do a video actually visiting them because they're not too far from me. And we're going to visit Broman. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to get the wiring harness for this thing. That actually is for the one-wire alternator. And I'm actually going to put a mini alternator on there instead of the bigger one that they have. And then we're going to get this thing back together, and it's going to be pretty much everything except brakes, the engine, the wiring. I'm going to pretty much show everything on this tractor, and we're going to pull the radiator. I'm probably going to take this one to a radiator shop and have them pressure test to make sure everything's good. I may myself go ahead and clean all this out and pull all this back together and resolder all this and try to get all this back together. Depending on what the radiator shop charges, you know what, I may just pay them to do it. I can do it. It's just I got so many other projects going. If I can delegate the radiator out, I'm not sweating that. And then, yeah, we're going to start getting this thing back together and getting her looking good and use it. I have all kinds of stuff coming or already here for this thing. I mean, from the battery box, the steering wheels, the seat, the lights, the engine parts, I mean, everything. And I appreciate everybody who gave me a little bit of input as far as the steering. Like I said, yeah, I have a feeling they went ahead and shimmed that down to change the caster on this thing, but I don't see the purpose on why they did it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull everything, pop her back up, and then get, you know, the front axle and everything back straight where it's supposed to. Luckily, it's not bent or anything. They just have it canted in there, and I don't like that. So we are going to put that back straight because there's no purpose for that. Check the bearings and the wheels and all, of course. The steering doesn't seem like it's all that bad, but we're still going to go ahead and crack the top cover and everything off, and I'm going to check the gears. And I don't see anything where a lot of the seals are leaking, luckily. Just a lot of grime, and all this is where they've greased it and everything. But I am going to check the seal and make sure it's good. That's about it. I did order also a new hydraulic line for this thing because I don't like where it's been spliced in all this crap right here. So I have a new hydraulic solid steel line coming that's going to follow this back and connect in there, because I'm not really keen on a lot of the pitting and all through here. This has been worn through from the hood and all, rubbing against it, so we're going to make sure that the hood doesn't rub the new one. And again, I hate to do it, but we're going to pull those clams off of there, and maybe a rainy day, maybe I might beat on it and make up some new metal. Maybe I'll go ahead and rebuild these. Maybe I'll just search for new ones. I don't know. Haven't got that far ahead yet to decide. The fenders aren't going to stop this thing from running. It just keeps you from getting chopped up in the wheel when you're running it. So just be careful, right? But that's about it. So I just wanted to give a little recap since my last video on what's going on in this thing. But it's coming out good. Like I said, it shouldn't take long to get this thing up and running and at least be able to hear it fire up. I am just thankful that I'm thankful that that cylinder was froze, because I probably myself wouldn't have pulled that pan off. I may have, I don't know. It's a hard call at this point. But anyway, but that's it for this video. So like I said, short, sweet, to the point, just kind of going a little recap. The next bunch of videos coming out will be everything as far as everything that I'm rebuilding on this. So make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you can see everything that's going on here. And you're going to see this 450 go from a fugly duckling to a nice little beauty. It's actually going to be out in the dirt, in the field, getting used. This one is actually going to do what it's meant to do. Like I said, a couple of them I'm going to have, and they're not going to see farm use anymore. A couple of them are. Well, this is going to be one of them. It's going to be pretty, but it's going to be used. Anyway, so that's it. So make sure you guys hit the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. And other than that, till next time, thanks for watching.